today with the newly appointed Vice-Chancellor of JNU, Ms. Professor Santishree Pandit. Welcome, ma'am, to ThinkEdu. Namaste. So, ma'am, this is going to be a very candid conversation. We just want to, if you could start off by talking about how your academic journey has been so far. You've been a lecturer, a professor for some time now. Why did you get into it? How has it progressed so far? If you could just get a sense of that.
If you say my academic journey, I think I must thank the state of Tamil Nadu. It is this state that gave me what I am today, because I did my schooling at the Rosary Matriculation School in Santhom. I used to stay in Mandavalli, which is Madras 28. You have a famous Tamil film also named after Chennai 28. We used to call it Madras at that time. And then I went into Adarsh Vidyalaya for my higher secondary. I topped the state at the time. Went into medicine for some time, because at the time people thought those who do well in studies should go to medicine. Somehow I didn't like it. Came back to and did my BA History and MA Political Science from the Presidency College, Chennai.
Why political science, ma'am? What was
Basically, I was greatly interested in the social sciences, and especially political science because I was interested in politics, but my father was an author and journalist and a civil servant. I could hear say that he started his career in the Indian Express in 1949 at the Express Estates, and one of your former editors, V.K. Narasimhan, was a very close family friend of ours. So because of his liking, I had a great interest in current affairs and things like that. And I thought maybe somehow I liked history and political science. Many people thought I was very stupid at the time to go into the social sciences, leaving a medical seat at AIIMS. So then I went, after my MA, where I got the gold medal in both my BA and MA. And my father told me a doctor with 35% is a doctor, but a social scientist with 35% will have to wash vessels. Either you're a topper or you don't go into it. And then I luckily got through the JNU entrance exam in 1985 and went to Jawaharlal Nehru University to do my MPhil and PhD. And it opened a world to me of many things of what India would look like and other things, and even best academics there. I did my doctorate, and in 1988 I went to Goa University, because then Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister, and they had introduced this JRF and SRF as a compulsion to get lecturership. And unfortunately, most of the others didn't have it, and I was the only one who had it. So that's how I got my job at Goa University, then a central university. And then I moved on to Pune, because my husband was a Maharashtra. It was more for domestic reasons. So that is where women have to adjust. So I moved to Pune University as a lecturer, or what we call as an assistant professor, and stayed there till recently when I moved to Jawaharlal Nehru University.
So if you could, you're an alumna of JNU, so if we could, and the first alumna to be the Vice-Chancellor, so if you could go back in time and talk about how your days at JNU were, and how you've seen the scene evolve now, if you could draw a path.
See, basically I would say the essence of JNU hasn't changed very much, only the number of students have tripled. We were just 3,000 then, now we are about there are about 9,000 students. Most of them stay in hostels. Many of them come from every part of the country. And many of them come from very deprived backgrounds, which is something that I greatly appreciate that the institution has been able to maintain. And we'll also like to maintain it because of social inclusion and our commitment to social and economic justice, which is something that JNU is known for. And in our time, I would say that our professors were very good. They were pioneers, especially in the School of International Relations, which is one of the oldest schools. It precedes Jawaharlal Nehru University. The first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, and Appadurai, a scholar from the state of Tamil Nadu, started what is called the Indian Council for World Affairs. That is where most of the teachers were trained. And this was in 1955. so that they become think tanks to advise the Ministry of External Affairs in foreign policy and area studies.
So, ma'am, as an as the head of administration now, what would be the three-point vision if you could put forward for JNU right now as an administrator?
Mainly, first is I want to make it a much more gender-sensitive campus, because I still believe that gender equality, I wouldn't speak in terms of gender equality, but rather gender equity, because of the 2015 Human Rights Agenda, and equity is something very different. So within JNU, this is the first thing, because though girls are the majority now, we have about 55% women students compared to the male students, but there is still we had issues which took place which I don't want it to be repeated again. So I want to sensitize the faculty how to treat girl students, because many of them take certain things for granted. So first is student centric. All the facilities, can we improve it? We have infrastructure issues. And second is the promotions and recruitments have to be done, both for teaching and non-teaching. And that would be my second, because we have to completely do the recruitment, which is a huge process, and we want to complete that. And third would be to expand the university and make our students more employable. Skilling, meaning, for example, if somebody is passing out of the engineering school, and let's say a company from Taiwan or Korea wants to employ them, if they can do one certificate course in language, that will greatly increase their employability. So that is what is my third. So academic excellence and the well-being of students, first students and then the teachers and the non-teachers.
You've mentioned teachers and students. There seems to be in the recent times, especially in the recent times, a huge gap of maybe understanding, we can call it, between the administration and the students. How do you plan to bridge it? Would you plan to bridge it, or how would you deal with that? Dissent in a democratic campus.
I think one thing I would agree with you, though I would say it is dissent, difference, diversity, and democracy will be respected. So D4, because I come from the South. I do not come from the Hindi heartland, and I'm the first woman. So first of all, this present administration has broken glass ceilings. People never would believe that the right would do it. Rather, you call them right. I don't call them the right, but but the left liberals never brought in a woman, and that too from the state of Tamil Nadu. And I also hail from the backward castes. So 3 ceilings have been broken, and it has been done by the most unexpected of administrations according to narratives, so you know how fake the narrative is. So I would rather say that there is no gap, because I'll tell you, being a former student, I'm not scared of our students or the teachers. I've made surprise visits to the library, to the canteens, eaten there, and even to the hostels. So I've been meeting students as well as differently abled students, all students. I tell them, whatever is your personal ideology is not my issue. And even the ideologically committed students are only about 10 to 20%. 80% of the students are there, they want to finish. They want JNUs a brand name. Whether we like it, don't like it, that's a different matter. It is a brand name, and I think what it has given me, I want students to do much better and rise higher than what I have.
So you said you've spoken with the current faculty as well. How has that experience been? How have those conversations gone?
Very good. See, all of them have been, I think basically the last 10 years has not been too good for them. So they are
What are the issues they've brought forward now?
One is the positions not being filled up, the promotions. Third is the infrastructure issue of the university. We have inherited 103 crore financial deficit. So we will have to see how we will, and the slowness of our administration. The administration complains there are 450 vacancies. So they say there's a paucity of staff. We are running on contractual workers. So that doesn't, fill in the gap for permanent staff. So the one thing is recruitment, which I think we are going to do it quite aggressively. And we have already started the process. You'd have seen we have advertised for the registrar, the controller of examinations. So all positions are being advertised.
You've mentioned JNU as a brand just now, but do you think that image, the JNU as a brand image, has taken a beating in the recent past? And how do you manage to fix it? Like whether it be the fee hike issue that happened. You said there are a lot of marginalized students at the campus, but there was a fee hike issue that happened. So how do you deal with such dents to its brand image?
See, usually any institution does go through a bad patch. And I think there was a gap between the administration and the students. One thing that JNU never had in my time is we had very committed Marxist revolutionaries and all that. But nobody was anti-national.
Okay.
So you cannot, expect to get freebies from the government and then, work against the same government.
But ma'am, how is somebody's ideology related? Like you just said, how is it related to them being students?
Destructive, there is a line you have to draw. I agree. You might differ with me. See, dissent is fine, but dissent as far as you don't touch my nose. Your freedom stops where my nose begins.
Okay.
So I think we have to have boundaries. I'm for all types of ideologies.
So how do you define those boundaries? Where do you draw the line on how students can protest, to what extent, and on what issues?
No, there are nothing. They can protest on any issues. I'll give you a good example. Recently, the hijab issue. JNU has no regulation on dress code. Anybody can wear what they want. If they don't want, they need not wear anything. And who are the people who came for the hijab? Not one girl. 10 boys. So I asked the boys, you want to wear hijab? Wear, I have no issue. You cannot decide what girls have to wear. Let the girls come and say, and if they want to wear, JNU doesn't restrict anybody from anything, and you don't want to wear. So that is where I say draw lines. Somebody else cannot define what I should wear. That is what, so we are drawing lines there. And if you see very clearly, ideology is fine. Each one of us are different. Amartya Sen rightly said we are the argumentative Indian. So I agree that everybody has a viewpoint. But I think you have to respect somebody else's viewpoint as well. See, the problem what happens with those dissenters is, they say mine or the highway. Yours cannot exist. That's something that, is not acceptable. I'm saying that when you are there, let others also be there. The colors of the rainbow is so beautiful. Let's have them as many. Or even the Upanishad saying, I believe in, Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahudava. That is, truth may be one, but there are different paths to it. So in the same way, JNU brand. So I would say that you should know where you, students should not take the destructive path, because it's self-destructive. It doesn't affect you or me, but it affects their own careers.
You mentioned that you're also the first OBC person to become the JNU Vice-Chancellor. There was recently a controversy that certain PhD students from backward communities were not being given the marks that they thought they deserved in their Viva Voce interviews. So have you listened to their...
They have not come to me so far.
They have not come to
me. It was maybe with the previous administration.
Okay.
They haven't come to me, and there have been 1 or 2 cases where I have been told, there's been that some of the professors do discriminate. Maybe we have to sensitize them on that, you cannot use primordial identities at the university.
So, ma'am, the argument was that the committee itself does not have proper representation. And even though they don't get the background of the student, they get their names. And so there is an inherent bias. So how do you deal with something like that? Is sensitization enough?
Follow the South Indian method, remove all surnames. Like MGR said. If you remember, MGR said remove all surnames. Like for example, you never knew I came from the backward class. My name is Santishree Dhulipudi. Dhulipudi is a village in Andhra, which means the village of dust. And my mother is a Tamil. And my there was an intercaste marriage. My father is a backward, my mother is a Brahmin, Tamil Brahmin. So from my surname you can't find out. In Tamil Nadu also, all of them just have the first name or the father's name. That's a very good method. Why do you have caste names that identify your caste?
But
Change it.
I mean, that's okay.
I will give you the Dravidian answer for it.
Okay, ma'am. The campus has reopened.
Yeah, the earlier Vice-Chancellor in the last day gave it. We have to follow COVID rules. We are allowed to only get 50% of the students in. And the authority is not given to the Vice-Chancellor to decide. Chairpersons have to decide. So it's very democratic. Most chairpersons are not agreeing. Because we did have the rector and the registrar get COVID recently. Though it was mild, but they had to be self-quarantined for 10 days. So we don't want, and we are being warned by AIMS that there may be a fourth wave. And you know Delhi has been always badly affected.
So, ma'am, is there, as the new Vice-Chancellor, there has been genuine complaints from students that say that they're unable to access online education. Like you mentioned, a lot of them are from, not very privileged backgrounds, and accessing digital education with the digital divide is difficult for them. So, as the new Vice-Chancellor, if things come to that the campus has to close down entirely again, or if you are unable to move beyond that 50% limit in the near future, would you do something for them?
See, right, good. We are trying to, better our digital facilities, digitalization. We have got the HIFA grant from the Government of India, which is a loan of about 500 crores. So the first we are doing is digitalization, especially of the administration. Your admission process, at the touch of a button, students must be able to see their documents, as well as utilization certificates. Like for example, you want an NOC. Today you have to wait till the Vice-Chancellor signs it. Unfortunately, everything comes to the Vice-Chancellor, and it is a huge flow chart. So we want to first introduce the ERP in administration, finance and other things, as well as examination section, where students and admission sections. Online classes, the problem is many teachers are worried with the hybrid, because they will have to take two lectures, meaning one for the students. Then how do you choose who comes in? That can be discrimination then.
Can that technology be brought to the classroom, ma'am? Is it being done right now? How do you ensure that students are able to connect? The grant that you're speaking of, does it reach the students is what I'm asking.
As of now, if you ask me to be honest, no.
Okay.
Our infrastructure is more than 10 years old. So we have huge problems of infrastructure. We need huge amounts of money. And I'm trying to change our mental attitude towards private funding, private-public funding, because everything the government cannot give. The government has 54 central universities. JNU is not the only one. So because of that, we are trying to get help from the private sector as well, meaning philanthropists who want to donate to the university, whether they can donate. Now there has been one section opposes it, but then if we don't get from them, these changes in infrastructure will take longer to be implemented.
Will that cost again reach the students, or?
Yeah, it will first the students.
No, the cost.
Cost, no. In JNU, no fee hike. Okay. We are a dharmashala. Annadanam, all danam. That is something, taboo, because the university has been set up that way. See, it has come out of a very strong commitment to the downtrodden, to the poor, because I come from the state of Tamil Nadu, and I've been part of the self-respect movement. And the Dravidian movement greatly brought the rise of the backward castes and others through education. There has been a lot of populist spending. So I am not very averse to this type of a model, especially with Periyar and C.N. Annadurai, and as well as Karunanidhi, MGR. When I was a student here, MG Ramachandran was our chief minister, very charismatic, and we brought him to Presidency College because I was one of the student union members at that time. So and he gave us bus pass, which was very, very cheap, free, any bus we could get it. So, these ideas of, giving back to the people is something, and even the public, I don't know whether the public distribution system here, the ration shops, they are very good. Even the middle class can go and buy. See, most of us used to go and buy, and even all the freebies we used to take, 5 kilo sugar, 5 kilo oil, 10 kilos rice. Even the sari they used to be quite good. So, if you have a quality, and when the thing, maybe JNU is part of that model, so I have no issue about it. Because I have grown up in this culture, the Tamil culture, which has been more middle class and more giving towards everybody. So, it doesn't, make me very discomfortable with a model like Jawaharlal Nehru University.
Talking about the future a little bit, ma'am, NEP is the talk of the town these days, and you've mentioned it in your note as well. I was wondering if you've had a chance to go through the provisions and how it will impact teaching at JNU, and what has been the reaction from the students?
See, in JNU we haven't had anything against the NEP so far, because only thing is we have to increase the number of Indian languages. JNU teaches the largest number of foreign languages, and we have a great resource there. Indian languages, we have a Tamil chair, and I want to strengthen the Tamil chair, because my mother was a professor of Tamil studies and Telugu in Russia. She started the India Studies program. She was a student of T.P. Meenakshi Sundaram, he was her favorite, and her PhD guide was Rapi Setupillai, a great doyen of Tamil studies at the Madras University. She worked on Shaivism. So, my commitment to Indian languages, and especially to Tamil, is very strong. And I think I support the cause that mother tongue, there is no replacement to mother tongue by any other language. And I am for diversity, meaning that every Indian should learn as many languages as they can. Like I can speak in Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, Hindi and English. So, why can't the Hindi speaking people also speak Tamil?
You also met the Prime Minister. I was just wondering.
I met the President, not the Prime Minister.
Oh, okay.
And the Finance Minister.
Okay.
Nirmala Sitharaman was my immediate senior at JNU. So, when I went to JNU as a fellow Tamil, she helped me a lot. She was in Kaveri, I was in Jhelum, and because very few Tamil students, percentage used to be low. So, she helped me a lot, and one problem was Hindi for us at that time. Do you know, I didn't know Parliament Street meant Sansad Marg. First time I went round and round and round. So, you have to understand that, for us, Hindi is as foreign as any other foreign language. That somehow, what happens, those who are Hindi speakers, they don't understand that there are people from other parts of India who find it extremely difficult to converse. So, I met the Finance Minister. She was very happy, and because being my own senior,
I was wondering if you'd had a chance to understand the PM's vision for JNU.
No, I have seen it only through television and press. I haven't personally met him. Okay. I've only met the visitor, who's the president. And NEP as a policy is good. Okay, there might be minor differences that we have. Any policy, is a type of input that comes in, and there can be feedback from everybody, and maybe every state can change it to suit its culture or its speciality. So, I don't think as a framework, it's very good, because it's talking about holistic education and respect to all Indian languages.
Noted.
And I would advise all students, learn Indian languages first and then foreign language.
Talked a lot about JNU and what was good, what was bad. Personally, at your time in JNU and even right now, what is the one thing that you don't like about it?
About JNU? Very difficult answer. Okay, what I don't like about JNU? Maybe too much of freedom. Even the dogs have freedom. We have a lot of stray dogs, and we have not been able to, and there are outsiders who come and feed those dogs. And people said they have also a human right. And they bite all my blind students. So, that's become a major problem for us. So, maybe too much of freedom for a lot of but one thing I want to do is, we have dhabas, which are, many of them are illegal. So I want to bring in women self-help groups to run these dhabas, rather than whoever is running it now, so that, part of women's empowerment, because when we say something, we should at least do it. That is one thing about JNU, that maybe we are, it's a sociological island. It makes people give an illusion or even a delusion that everything you get is free. When you come out, there is no free meal. So maybe that is a cultural shock for many of the students. So when they get everything free in JNU, electricity free, food, literally you are paying, rates that are unimaginable. Our fees is 20 rupees and room rent is 10 rupees for 6 months, and we haven't raised it. This is unimaginable. I know people who have come from Manipal, private university, who pay 2-3 lakhs per semester. But the minute they come to JNU, they want the 10 rupees. So what I'm saying is that psychological mindset is bad. Okay, temporarily you enjoy, go out, fine. But if you think the whole world is going to give you everything free, that delusion is bad about JNU. JNU is a sociological island. It can make you very delusional, because everything is so, tailored and nice. Even for us, we felt good. But then our professors were telling us, get out in 5 years. Don't stay here. Once you get used, you are a misfit in the real world. So that, yes, I don't like.
Thank you so much for your time, ma'am.
Thank you.
We are hoping you're enjoying the session so
Yes,
far, and we
yes.
really look forward to your session.
Thank you
as
so
well.
much for inviting me. I thank you, the New Indian Express as well. And ellarkum enam vanakkam and nandri.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right? Because I love this state, and this state has given me everything.